I freaked out after I overheard my girlfriend confessing her love to another man over Discord, but she swears it's not what it sounds like and that I'm misunderstanding her Dungeons and Dragons roleplay and that it's just make-believe. I, 27M, have been going out with my girlfriend, 25F, for almost 4 years, and we've been living together for a few months. She's funny and wonderful and kind and honestly pretty much everything I ever wanted in a girl. She's also a bit of a Dungeons and Dragons type nerd, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's good that she has her own friends and hobbies. She tried getting me into it, but I don't really get it. She tried teaching me about Dungeons and Dragons, but there were just too many weird rules and dice, and I just didn't see the fun in it. We tried playing Baldur's Gate 3 together, thinking it would be easier for me to get into and to experience her world in a way, but I got really bored really fast, and at that point, it was just better to let her do her own thing. We've got plenty of other stuff we do together, and as I said, it's not a big deal for her to have hobbies that don't include me. And she does love her hobby. She gets very excited about her weekly games and sometimes tells me about the epic adventures they go on, which admittedly sounds pretty fun secondhand but is not really for me. We live in a 2-bedroom apartment, so we have a bedroom and a home office we share, where our laptops are. Her Dungeons and Dragons games are online and usually happen in the evening, so I just hang out in the living room or go out when she plays to not intrude. But a few weeks ago, I noticed that she locks the door when she plays. I thought it was a little weird because why would you lock the door to play Dungeons and Dragons? And it didn't sit right with me. So I did what I now think might have been very sad and pathetic, but I genuinely didn't know what else to do. The last few weeks when she had her game, I sat out in the hall by the door and listened. She uses headphones, so I could only really hear her side of the game, and at first, it was just some stuff about rolling dice, joking around with her friends, and spells doing whatever, but I kept at it. I sat there for 4 hours last week and over 2 hours this week, but eventually, I heard it. She was talking about Slash with another person, and it was really romantic. It was tender and very emotional. She legit said something like, "You know I love you, so I want to help you save your family," or something like that, in a clearly romantic way. It went on like that, like a clearly emotional discussion with a romantic partner that lasted a solid 15 minutes. Then it went back to other stuff, but by that point, it didn't matter. I was really upset and went back to the living room, and when she came out after the session, I confronted her. I told her I heard her talking and telling some guy how much she loved him, and how he was the only one who ever got through to her or something, so she would do anything for him. She said I was taking it out of context, and that it was just pretend and playing a character, but I told her it didn't matter. This wasn't some video game where her character was speaking written lines to another character with written lines who wasn't real. She herself was saying sweet, loving, romantic things to another real person. And it hurt to hear. It felt like cheating. She said it wasn't cheating, and her character wasn't her. She just did it for the drama and thought being romantically invested made her character better. She also said that me sitting outside to listen in on her game was a violation of her privacy and showed that I didn't trust her, which was why she felt like she needed to lock the door in the first place. I apologized for that, but at the same time, I said that me being wrong to eavesdrop doesn't justify what she did, to which she said that she didn't do anything wrong. It was just what the game was. And it was just a game, but that made me feel even worse. Maybe I'm being whiny or misreading it, but she is the first person I was ever really vulnerable with like that, and the way she spoke to me when she told me how much she loved me, it was just so similar to the way she spoke as her character that it made me uncomfortable. It made me feel like something that was only mine and only for me was just given to someone else for a game. It felt like it cheapened it. Was she faking it with me? Was she genuinely feeling it for that other person? I don't know what exactly it is that's bothering me, because technically she's not wrong. But I don't care if she's technically not cheating. I just feel like there are certain sides of my girlfriend that should be reserved only for me, shouldn't there? I couldn't really verbalize it to her, and after a bunch of arguing back and forth, we just went to bed. For the past few days, we've been in this weird state of limbo where we're going on like nothing happened, but also there's clearly tension. Today I couldn't take it anymore, and I said that we need to talk about it. I said that I understand her hobbies are important to her, but I am her boyfriend and there should be certain things that are just for me. I can't go on knowing that she's talking like that to some other guy. So I told her that I support her going on with the games, but I asked that she no longer lock the door and no longer do whatever romantic stuff she does in-game. She said I didn't mind when she talked to me at length about her romance with that Astarian guy in Baldur's Gate. I told her, again, that that is not the same. I don't mind her playing romance with a bunch of pixels and being moved by fiction, but her Dungeons and Dragons game isn't just fiction. It's her, telling those things to an actual person, and that bothers me, so I want her to stop. She said I was being possessive and controlling and that I can't tell her not to have hobbies or how to behave. I told her that's true, but if she doesn't understand how I feel about this, we might not have a future together. She got angrier and said I'm clearly not in a state to be having this discussion and we'll talk again when I've calmed down, and went to school. She's getting her master's degree, but in the time since, I've been the opposite of calming down. I just get more upset the more I think about it. Clearly, me being upset should at least make her consider stopping, even if she isn't actually cheating outright. Shouldn't my feelings matter on this issue? But also, maybe I'm not being reasonable? Maybe I am overreacting? Help. /relevant comments. Commenter. I'm sorry to say this, but yes, absolutely. I don't play Dungeons and Dragons anymore and don't like it, but people do all sorts of things to maintain an atmosphere where they feel safe. Role-playing is incredibly vulnerable, and it's very easy to feel stupid if someone overhears. You should have just asked why she locked it if you were curious. Your post implies that, rather than her having an actual emotional affair, which is possible but unlikely, the point of contention is that the act of saying it to someone else hurt your feelings. I can see why it would, honestly. But you hit her with a double whammy, you invaded her privacy and then made an accusation. She's not going to be in a state to be considerate of your feelings after that. Do you want a relationship to still be there after you win the argument? I don't want to be harsh, but this seems like a bad situation. You're probably a decent person and you're hurt right now, but there are times when you have to recognize you're the transgressor. Ops response. I accept that I probably messed up here, maybe a lot. And I will apologize for it, but I can't just be okay with her simulating a romantic relationship with another person. I can't. And if I just apologize and let it go, I'm going to spend the rest of our time together feeling like I have to share her emotional vulnerability, if that makes sense. I don't want to be a prude, but I can't get comfortable with my girlfriend telling other people she loves them romantically, even in the context of a game. It hurts too much. Update 2 days later. So, having read the comments you all gave, I thought maybe I was actually overreacting and that I really did mess up. I especially found helpful a comment someone made about asking her to maybe keep the door unlocked and allowing me to listen in on sessions to get context, learn to accept her hobby, and let her still enjoy it without me spiraling. When she came home from school, I made an apology dinner, homemade pizza from scratch, her favorite, and we sat down to talk. She started by demanding an apology because, whatever else I had to say, eavesdropping and not trusting her were huge screw-ups on my part. I agreed and apologized immediately because that was crappy behavior on my part, no question. That helped her be more open to hearing me out. So I said, more calmly and tactfully, that it bothers me that she is simulating romantic love with a person I don't know, in a context I don't understand. I said that I can and do apologize for my actions, but I can't change how I feel, and that also needs to be discussed. She asked what I had in mind. I told her that I think trust should go both ways, so me trusting that the game is just a game and doesn't mean anything is well and good, but in return, I'd like her to keep the door unlocked and let me sit in on a few sessions. I promised not to be disruptive, not to overreact or interrupt the game, and to bring up any issues I had privately with her after the game was over. She seemed relieved because she was worried I'd demand she drop the game or break up with her, and said she personally didn't mind but needed to bring it up with her group, which I thought was very reasonable. The rest of the evening, though, she was constantly on her phone, getting Discord notifications, and seemed more and more upset. This lasted for literally hours, well into the night, past when I was asleep. I asked if anything was wrong and she said maybe, but not to wait up, and she promised to tell me everything in the morning. I didn't get much sleep, but I also didn't want to pry too much, having just promised not to. So come morning, when I asked what happened, since she clearly didn't get much sleep and was clearly nervous, she said she brought it up with the group and the reactions were mixed. I'm going to give these people fake names to keep track. When she brought it up, everyone seemed okay with me listening and except Joe. Joe is the guy whose character had the romance with hers. Joe said in their group chat that he wouldn't feel safe acting, they call it role-playing, I guess, when there was a stranger in chat and wouldn't participate in any game I was present for. This obviously made my girlfriend respond that seeing the relationship between their characters was the whole point of me listening in, to which he said I was being unreasonable and violating his boundaries by making unreasonable demands. This was already pretty bad in my eyes, but then she told me about the private messages. After the group exchange, she got 3 messages. One was from Joe. Joe wrote a long, really long, message about how much he cared about her, how much it hurt him to see her dim her light to appease a controlling, abusive boyfriend who stifled her creativity, and how she should be with someone who appreciated her, let her be herself, and shared her interest, and that he was available if she wanted to talk. He finished with a paragraph about how women like her always go for selfish jerks and don't appreciate the wonderful guys all around them. How he felt such a connection with her through their characters, and how could she ignore it? I genuinely couldn't believe I was seeing one of these in the wild. I don't usually get secondhand embarrassment, but that crap was so cringe I almost died. I genuinely laughed. I couldn't really be angry, that crap was just so sad. She also got messages from Jenny, another player, who said Joe seemed way too invested in the romance for her taste and she thought those segments were taking up a lot of game time, which she thought was better used elsewhere. She never said anything because she thought my girlfriend was really into it, but now that it became an issue, she thought she should speak up. She also mentioned she found Joe creepy, which I personally appreciate. I don't know any of these people IRL since it's an online group, but I certainly think Jenny might be my new best friend. Finally, there was a message from Mitch, the guy running the game, who said Joe reached out to him demanding I not be allowed to, this is a quote, violate the intimacy of the group, and that he should talk to my girlfriend too, to get her to drop me listening in, and possibly drop me altogether. I don't even know how or why Mitch would even attempt to do that. All this resulted in them canceling the next game as they work it out. My girlfriend didn't respond to Joe yet, but at least she seems relieved that I'm taking this well. I told her of course I am, I'm not going to be upset over some guy being into her. She's wonderful, of course guys are going to be into her wherever she goes. The issue I was worried about was whether she was into him back, and these messages convinced me that that's clearly not the case, which seemed to make her feel a lot better. We talked a bit more and she now seems to agree that locking the door, in context, might have seemed suspicious, and that going forward, Our ground rule should be that character dynamics that make her feel like she should lock the door might be the exact dynamics she should make me aware of. I promise to trust her to tell me these things and not to eavesdrop anymore, and to approach her openly about listening in on sessions. Also, the romance with Joe's character isn't going to continue, but seeing how she feels about Joe now, I think I do trust her to do character romance going forward, just not to hide it from me and to be selective with who she does it with. I don't know how the Joe situation is going to be handled within the group, but I guess that's up to them, since playing with him is obviously going to be very awkward for her. I guess since she doesn't intend to keep up the romance, it doesn't really matter. Small edit: since the situation basically resolved itself now, Joe didn't like being left on red, so he wrote my girlfriend a very rude message about how, no joke, she was going to die alone with cats because her jerk boyfriend is going to leave her when she loses her looks. He literally never saw her in person, to be clear. So she just blocked him and sent a screenshot to Mitch. Joe isn't going to be part of the group anymore. My girlfriend apologized for not recognizing how absolutely unhinged the guy was. We reasserted that any in-game interaction she isn't comfortable having in front of me is probably one she shouldn't be having. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I'm glad everything seems well, but I feel like you still need to have a discussion about why she was locking the door in the first place. Because to me, that says, on some level, she knew it was wrong and that it would hurt you. And if I were you, I'd be unable to cope with that until I got the full truth. Ops response. From what she said, it basically wasn't so much about knowing this was wrong, since she supposedly had been locking her door at her parents' home too, where she lived before, and before the romance even took place, and more about feeling safe enough to get into the headspace to perform. Since I explained that this was part of what made it feel so off to me, and given how Joe clearly had a very different view of the situation than she did, she agreed that, going forward, the door should remain unlocked and she will work on getting more comfortable performing even in my presence, whether I'm in voice chat or present in the room, since Joe's reaction clearly didn't happen in a void, unhinged as it was. Commenter 2. You were very valid in your feelings of being uncomfortable with your partner emulating love with another, even if it was just role-playing. I myself play Dungeons & Dragons and would be super uncomfortable if my partner were sitting there flirting at the table with someone else in character, so it's understandable that you would be too. I'm not sure why people thought your boundaries were wrong in your initial post. Glad you guys could figure it out nonetheless. Ops response. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I love her, and if this is important to her, I feel I owe her at least the benefit of giving her grace.